Now that we're writing data into our S3 table bucket, I want to query that data through Athena, but we need to do some setup first here in Lake Formation. With your correct region selected, you might see that there's a banner that says to enable the S3 tables catalog, which is a federated catalog. I've already enabled it here, so when you click on that S3 tables catalog, you should then see an exact mapping of the buckets that you saw inside of your S3 tables bucket. If you don't, there's something wrong, and they should be matching one-to-one. It's probably some sort of permissions issue. But now that I've confirmed that I do see those, I need to now add a resource link. I'm going to be adding the resource link here through the AWS Glue Create database, the CLI tool. And you have to make sure you have your correct region and my account ID. This is actually the catalog ID. And that's that default catalog, which corresponds to your AWS account ID. Each resource link has to have a unique name. So I'm actually going to call that resource link along with my bucket name. And then if you remember from the S3 table bucket, each topic on StreamNative or table, it corresponds to an S3 table bucket, has a unique namespace, and it's the word pulsar concatenated with your tenant and namespace. So I'm just going to include the tenant and namespace here in the name because you will need multiple resource links for each tenant namespace, so this will keep them unique. For the target database, it's actually a reference into that S3 tables catalog and your bucket name. This is the namespace in the S3 table bucket. And I'm going to go ahead and execute that. I've actually already done that here. So if I go back over to my Lake Formation catalogs, I'll be able to see here by clicking on the default catalog, I now have the resource link with that name. Resource link my bucket 3, public default. I now need to apply permissions on both this resource link and inside of the S3 tables catalog, my bucket 3, and we'll do that next. So if I go to the far left under data permissions, first I'm going to add the permissions on the S3 table bucket. I'll go to grant, and then I'll choose the roles I want to be able to access that. So these are the people who will be querying the data. And I'm going to select my SSO role here for myself. And there are different directions in the documentation, but this is specifically because I'm going to be using Athena, is why I've chosen that. I'm going to select named data catalogs, and we're going to start by choosing the catalog that is in the S3 tables catalog. And that was my bucket 3 that I'm using here. For databases, choose your schemas. So this is Pulsar public default, and I'm going to set up for all tables. For table permissions, I'm going to select super on table permissions, and I'll select grant. Now I need to also add permissions on my resource link. So if I go to grant over here on the far right again, on the data permissions, on principals, I'm going to select my account again. And again, this is because I plan on using Athena, and the documentation has more examples. Under the named data catalog, instead this time I'm going to choose the default catalog because that is where the resource link was created. Under databases, I choose that resource link. Under tables, I'll choose all tables. And then for table permissions, I'm just going to choose describe and select grant. Now if we go into Athena, I can choose my data source as a AWS data catalog. Under catalog, I can choose my bucket 3 under the S3 tables catalog. And I will have a database called Pulsar public default. If I open up the tables, I can see Kafka topic 1 exists and its schema, and I can query this then by hitting run again. And this will query out of the topic I was just writing to inside of StreamNative. And as I had mentioned earlier, I was going to be publishing 10 million messages, and you can see here that 10 million are returned.